The Prairie Traveler, a handbook for overland expeditions. Chapter 3. Repairing broken wagons. The accidents most liable to happen to wagons on the plains arise from the great dryness of the atmosphere and the consequent shrinkage and contraction of the woodwork in the wheels. Tires work loose, and wheels passing over sidling ground often fall down, breaking spokes at the hub. It is essential for prairie travelers to know how to repair such damages or guard against them. Wheels should be examined frequently. Loose tires can be tightened immediately with hoop iron or wooden wedges driven in pairs from opposite sides. Another temporary remedy is to remove wheels after encamping and soak them in water overnight to swell the wood, though this requires repetition. When tires run off near a shop or forge, they may be tied on with rawhide or ropes. For a broken rear wheel, remove it and lash a stout pole under the axle outside the bed, extending forward above the front wheel and dragging behind to keep the axle level. The wagon can then be driven forward after lightening the load. For a front wheel failure, swap rear wheels to the front axle and use a sound front wheel on the rear, then apply the pole method. When spokes shrink more than felloes and loosen in the hub, cut out sections of the felloe on opposite sides, wrap with wagon bow or barrel hoops secured by nails or tacks to reduce circumference and draw spokes tight. Heat and reset the tire to restore strength. Tires should be bolted and nuts used to prevent them from coming off. These practical expedients allow repairs in the wilderness without blacksmiths, preventing total loss of wagons on long journeys. Fording rivers. Many streams across the routes are broad and shallow with quicksand beds that become boggy and unstable in high water, making crossing difficult. Before any visible rise, undercurrents loosen sand, requiring great caution. Upon reaching an uncrossed river, test the ford by sending a man across on foot. If the sand holds firm underfoot, it is safe. For soft areas, use sharp sticks driven into the bottom to mark the firmest path, stepping rapidly to avoid sinking. Footmen should cross first to pack the sand. Lead horses across without stopping. Water them beforehand to prevent pausing. Wagons must move steadily, never halt in the river, as wheels sink quickly. Mules may lie down in fear and require roping out. Raise wagon beds with wooden blocks at corners to keep contents dry when water reaches the bed but remains fordable. For deep, rapid currents, attach lariats to lead animals and have mounted men guide from front and side with whips. Ford obliquely downstream when possible, as current assists passage. Crossing upstream risks strong resistance and drowning animals. Double teams for heavy loads against the current, with men leading and assisting. These methods ensure safe river crossings with minimal loss. Quicksand. Quicksand in riverbeds poses significant hazards during fording. Test thoroughly with a man on foot using sticks to mark safe paths. Rapid stepping prevents sinking for humans. Animals and wagons must not stop as feet and wheels embed quickly. Horses should be led and pre-watered. Mules often panic, lie down, and refuse to rise, necessitating ropes for extraction. Even on firm ground, they may need help standing. Pack sand first with foot traffic. Choose fords carefully and maintain steady movement. Experience shows that vigilance and proper technique allow safe passage over unstable beds that appear firm but yield under weight or stillness. Avoid known quicksand areas when possible, or prepare with markers and assistance for each crossing. Wagon boats. For deep, unfordable streams with high banks, construct a temporary boat from a wagon bed. Stretch a lariat or rope across the river using a swimmer with a light cord, then pull the heavier rope over and secure it. Fill the wagon bed with empty, sealed water casks lashed securely, or use a tent fly, pollen, or wagon cover wrapped tightly around the bed and tied. Place the improvised boat in the water, attach to the ferry rope, load goods or men, and pull across from the opposite bank. Return empty for next loads. Wagons can be floated by securing them to axles and using steadying ropes. Cannons or heavy items can be separated and ferried similarly. This method safely transports entire trains across rapid, deep streams without loss, as demonstrated on multiple expeditions. Proper bank preparation for entry and exit, firm landing spots, and strong ropes ensure efficiency. Bull boats. Bull boats, made from buffalo hide stretched over a frame of willows or poles in a boat shape and stitched tightly, provide another lightweight option for crossing. They are buoyant and easily constructed where timber and hides are available. Used by Indians and trappers, they carry men and light loads effectively. For larger needs, multiple boats or combinations with wagon elements work. They complement wagon boats for parties lacking casks or covers. Proper lashing and careful loading prevent leaks or capsizing in currents. These portable skin boats have long served frontier travelers for river passage when fording is impossible. Crossing packs. When fording with pack animals, remove packs carefully or raise them high on the animals to keep contents dry. Lead packs across firm paths marked in advance. In deep water, use swimming techniques or boats to ferry packs separately while animals swim. Secure packs against shifting or wetting. For difficult crossings, double-line animals and use guiding ropes. Experience shows that separating loads and using assistance prevents loss of supplies in swift or deep rivers. Always test fords and prepare animals by removing heavy or fragile items first. Swimming animals. For wide, swift rivers too deep to ford, swim animals safely. Drive a horse into the water with a cord on the bridle bit, then seize its tail to be towed across. Guide with the cord or water splashes if it veers. Riders should use loose reins, hold the mane for balance, and avoid pulling except for direction. For large parties, use ferry methods with boats for men and goods while animals swim guided. Oblique downstream fording assists with current. Never overload swimming animals. These techniques, proven in expeditions, allow safe passage with minimal risk when combined with ropes and preparation. Animals swim strongly when handled calmly. Marching with loose horses. When it becomes necessary to march with loose horses, they should be kept well together and driven in front of the train. A few of the best mounted and most reliable men should be placed in front and on the flanks to prevent the animals from scattering. The rear guard should follow closely to keep stragglers from dropping behind. Loose horses travel faster than wagons and should not be allowed to graze during the march except at the regular halts. When the train halts, the horses should be turned out to graze under a strong guard. If Indians are in the neighborhood, extra vigilance is required, as they are constantly watching for opportunities to stampede or steal animals. Horses driven loose are more liable to stampede than when tied to the wagons. The herders should be well armed and instructed to keep the herd compact. At night, the horses should be corralled with the wagons or picketed securely. This method of marching is often adopted when animals are numerous and wagons few, but it requires experienced and trustworthy herders. With proper management, large numbers of loose horses may be driven long distances without serious loss. Herding mules. Mules are more difficult to herd than horses because they are more inclined to wander and less disposed to keep together. A bell mare should always be used, as the mules will follow her more readily than a horse. The bell should be of a clear, distinct tone that can be heard at a considerable distance. The herders should keep the mules well closed up and prevent them from scattering in search of better grass. Mules are very cunning and will often slip away from the herd if not closely watched. When grazing, they should be kept on good grass and not allowed to stray far. In dangerous localities, the mules should be driven into the corral at night. If a mule becomes separated, it will often return to the last camping place, making it necessary to send men back to recover it. Mules that have been long accustomed to herding together become more manageable. The herder should ride a steady horse and carry a good whip to turn back stragglers. With careful herding, mules can be kept in good condition and prevented from straying or being stolen. Best methods of marching. The best method of marching is to start early in the morning and make a long drive before the heat of the day, then halt for several hours during the middle of the day near grass and water. The march can be resumed in the afternoon and continued until near night. This plan allows the animals to rest during the hottest part of the day and to graze when it is cool. For ox teams, it is especially beneficial as they suffer greatly from the heat. The daily distance should be regulated by the condition of the road and the strength of the teams. 16 to 18 miles a day is a good average for loaded wagons. Longer drives should only be made when necessary to reach grass or water. The train should be kept well closed up, and no wagon allowed to fall behind except in case of accident. When a wagon breaks down, it should be turned out of the road and repaired while the others pass. Strict order and regularity in marching contribute greatly to the comfort and success of the expedition. Herding and guarding animals. The herding and guarding of animals at night is a matter of great importance. In the Indian country, the animals should always be corralled or picketed. When corralled, they are much more secure against stampedes and theft. A strong guard should be kept, with sentinels posted at proper intervals. The guard should be changed regularly so that all men get sufficient rest. Herders must be vigilant and not allow the animals to stray. In dangerous localities, the best horses should be kept saddled and ready for instant use. Indians often attempt to stampede animals by creeping near and making sudden noises. A well-organized system of herding and guarding prevents many serious losses. When animals are turned out to graze at night, they should be closely watched, and the herders should be mounted. The bell mare or a few gentle animals help keep the herd together. With proper attention to these details, animals can be preserved in good condition and protected from loss throughout the journey. Descending mountains. When descending steep mountains with wagons, great care is necessary to prevent accidents. The wheels should be locked with chains or ropes, and men should hold back on the wheels with ropes to control the descent. In very steep places, it may be necessary to unload the wagon and lower it by hand with ropes. The load should be lightened as much as possible before descending. Animals should be kept well in hand and not allowed to go too fast. In some places, it is advisable to take the wagons apart and carry them down in pieces. Experience has shown that with proper precautions, even heavy wagons can be taken down very steep declivities without serious injury. The road should be examined in advance and the safest route selected. Men should be stationed to assist at difficult points. By using these methods, mountain descents can be made with comparative safety, although they are always attended with more or less labor and delay. Storms, northers. Storms upon the prairies are often very violent, and travelers should be prepared to meet them. When a storm is approaching, the wagons should be corralled as quickly as possible and the animals secured inside. Tents should be well fastened and everything made as secure as possible. Northers, or cold north winds, are particularly severe in the winter and spring and are accompanied by sudden and great falls in temperature. Men should be provided with warm clothing and blankets to protect themselves from the cold. During storms, it is best to remain in camp until the weather moderates. The animals suffer greatly from exposure to cold rains and winds, and every effort should be made to shelter them. With proper precautions, the party can pass through the severest storms without serious injury. The sudden changes of temperature on the prairies make it necessary to be always prepared for bad weather.